you had the opportunity to review the last meeting's, minutes?
March.
Yeah, it was March. Any questions? Any comments? No? Does someone want to move to approve those?
I'm going to approve the minutes from that meeting.
Okay. Very second. Okay. Moving on, updates on the development or rehab projects, Lombard Commons. Oh, I'm sorry, let's call for the vote. Apologize for approving the minutes. Can we, call for the vote? All ayes?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to rush it along too much. So update on the rehab projects.
Lombard Commons, it is delayed again, should I say. The project as of the 6/13 construction meeting was reported at that meeting, that was approximately 58% complete. So at that meeting, they called for an extension that will push the completion back to December 17th. So original completion was in July this month. Then it was pushed back to September, mid-September, and now it's December 17th. My understanding from the meeting is that that is the final push that they're going to do, that the contractors are under know that the property has to be completed by December 17th. So right now, if that was going to start in September, will probably not start until the beginning of the year. We've gotten a whole lot of inquiries. I've gotten tons of inquiries for people not only to work there, but also to live there. So I'm working with Anita Gu, who is their regional manager, on all of those inquiries. She's actually keeping a list of everybody that I send her with their contact information. So she has quite a nice list right now. And then she's also the couple of people that ask about working there, she's forwarding that information to their HR department. So we're getting a lot of interest. People are calling. They're calling or they're emailing me, which is okay because they see the sign, the county sign, which is fine because she knows we have it worked out how we respond to them. So
How many positions normally are employed at a place of that size?
well, that's it could be one manager and one assistant, but honestly, I feel like they're gonna share a manager with their Stone Ridge property. And I don't know if they'll show with Kellinger, Stone Ridge, and Lombard, if they'll have one manager and then some assistants, or what do you call leasing agents, leasing assistant. I'm not exactly sure. We do have it specified in their contract agreement. Did we put like 20 hours or? Do you remember? We usually put something in their contract agreement that they have to cover so many hours with a manager and maintenance staff. I can look that up on their agreement. I don't remember
So
it.
they would have a regional maintenance.
No, they probably are gonna share some of the maintenance too between Kellinger and Stone Ridge.
They typically have like a janitorial staff person on site most days, and then the maintenance technician would come as needed for repairs.
It probably for this size, they won't hire full time. What are your thought on that?
Should, but
Michelle wants them to, believe me. And she tells them that all the time. But they usually don't. So we'll see.
it's hard to cover 3 properties. I think they'll probably try to do that and stretch their staff, but. Well, most of the properties aren't even like close.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're exactly right. But they'll try it, you know. And then Princess Street Apartments. So the rehabilitation is just about phase 1 of the rehabilitation, which was the exterior of this building. It's just about done. We have the railing handrailings. They're being, made right now, fabricated. That should be the very last thing. They will be done by the end of July. So that would have completed phase one. However, they came back, and Joanne is here today. They came back and asked if, Joanne could consider, and she can talk to you more about this, about amending her agreements and adding additional CDBG money for a parking lot. So Joanne, I'll let you talk about that.
Yes, they've requested additional funding, so we've done some preliminary screening through the environmental review process and looking at the existing loan agreements, mortgage and note, and to see if we can amend those to increase the funds. We do have funds available through revolving loan fund that we can add to the existing project to include that parking lot. That would finish it nicely. Because the building looks so good now, the parking lot looks terrible. And so it would, we're in that process now of, just working on agreements, and I'll take that to the county commissioners for approval as a amendment to their existing.
In addition to that, I will let everybody know that we were not successful on the pro housing grant on the first round. Our intent is to resubmit that grant. And if everybody remembers, when we talked about that pro housing grant, we had included $1.5 million in there for the interior rehabilitation at Princess Street. However, since we were not successful, and the next round, there will be a third round for pro housing, and I think I'm not sure how many, billion. There's a lot of money left. But they have gotten so many applications that they actually just sort of went through all of those, and they didn't allocate all the funds. So we're going to have the third round. We are going to we have requested, the county has requested a meeting with HUD to talk about what in our application might have been a little weak, where we could change some things. We also had a meeting the other day with Senator Fetterman's assistant, Madeline, and she gave us some insight on how they scored the application. So we're going to try to strengthen it up and resubmit it. But for Princess Street Apartments, there are some different requirements. So we already put home dollars in it. We don't want to hold Princess Street interior until we would hear down the road about the pro housing. It's just gonna, the time frame is just not going to be convenient for anybody, because the home fund, there's a regulation on home, but for some reason we wouldn't get that pro housing money and we want to use home. There's regulation on home that says we must reinvest within the first year of completion if we're going to invest. Plus, they have a construction loan that they had just extended to finish up this phase. And every time that they have to extend that construction loan, it costs them money and additional interest. So we don't want to drag it out. We want to try to tidy this all up, everything, all the construction by mid next year. So what Joanne and I have talked, and we have just started the conversations, but I wanted to just give everybody, we don't have to have any action on it today because I don't have all the documents in front of me. I don't have their exact capital needs assessment and their dollars, but we are hoping to be able to invest revolving loan funds that came back from the sale of the Hanover portfolios and some additional home dollars. Some of that came back from the Hanover portfolios, and some of it we have in a balance right now. We're anticipating, and from our last call with Kate from Mission First, we're anticipating about 1.5 million to do the interiors. That will include all new kitchens and baths. The flooring's already been replaced because we did that with the windows because of the lead paint. Lighting and painting the hallways and common areas. And there'll probably be some other things in there, but I know she did say something about their HVAC system, their mechanical systems. So right now, we're just estimating 1.5 million. But we don't have that as a firm. We don't have that as a firm yet. So, we'll continue to work with, Kate. Once we receive her request, then I'll bring that back to the committee for action. And Joanne, do you have anything to add there?
That's another, scope of work. We're looking at whether we want to do that as a separate activity or add it to the existing activity, because under the CDBG program for the environmental review requirements and the mortgage and loan, essentially the same building. Those environmental reviews covered the whole building, whether it was interior or exterior. So we'll be talking about that later. But it would be a good way to use the income that came back from Hanover Senior, because that does add to our total amount of funding that we're responsible for spending in a timely manner. And our test for that is May every year. So we at least have this committed and started. It will help us continue to meet that expectation that requires every year, so.
And just to give you like a quick update on those funds that did come back, we have all of our final numbers. We have all the money money's been deposited into the appropriate accounts. And the revolving loan fund, we realized in that account about $1.2 million. And then home, we received $168,664. Now I'm working with DCED right now, and I'm talking with them about the CCHP money that we brought back in, which was $434,936, and we had some brownfields money at $497. Potentially, those amounts of money could also be used. Right now, they're researching the old loan documents. It's taking them a long time, but we did this before with DCED, and eventually they will come to a conclusion. What I ask is if I can reinvest the funds, not give them back. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them. And if there'll be any restrictions on where I can use that. So Princess Street Apartments may be a good opportunity to put this money in. But like Joanne said, the revolving loan fund is huge on our timeliness test and the amount of money that has to go out. So we want to try to use the majority of the revolving loan fund money that came back in.
If I could add, one of the things we can't use CDBG funds are the soft costs. So that is something that we would require a whole or maybe even DCED funding to cover, because we can do that.
The environmental, does that include lead throughout the interior and the whole bit?
The environmental doesn't,
Doesn't.
but it is a requirement of the property that it be lead free. So that will be carried forward with this new construction.
Is that something you could?
Yeah, the lead testing was done on the whole exterior of the building, and then we required, every unit that was tested, because windows went in every unit. So I got the reports for every unit prior and, clearance testing.
Okay, so we already know that we're good on the.
Yeah, now we'll do lead on the interior too. So they'll come in and they'll have a risk assessment completed on the interior, because we are doing kitchens and baths. If we fund this, kitchens and baths are gonna be part of that. So we will be disturbing surfaces.
Right.
So yes, lead, and a new, requirement now is radon testing. So, they are actually, going to start that testing. We had, like Joanne and I had a call, and Michelle had a call with them, just the other day. So, we will be doing radon testing, because that is a new requirement for HUD in the environmental process. Radon testing and any mitigation that is required, which will be an eligible cost for home or CDBG. That's something they're gonna work on. They're also gonna start their recertifications, because unfortunately, soft costs that can't be covered are gonna have to be covered with home. So if we put home into this project, it's gonna require that all the residents are recertified. So we're working, they're gonna start those. I have an email out to our HUD rep right now, asking her her opinion on this being a brand new project or a phase of the first project? And if that's the case, do we have to do all new recertifications? So I'm waiting for our HUD rep to get back to me on that. And then I was gonna have a conversation with Jeff on how we, if they say, oh yeah, just make this phase 2, well, then we're gonna have to talk about how we amend all the documents. And add all this extra money. So we'll wait in here. Joanne can probably make this a phase 2 under CDBG, but I'm not sure about it. So, I just want some direction from HUD on that. So, just waiting to hear from them.
Didn't you say before, and forgive me, it's either brownstone or brownfield, whatever this one's like. Aren't those have more restrictions on them than,
No, actually, they wouldn't have more restrictions than him. No, the CCHP or the brownfields, just for, most purposes, what they do is we carry it through because they were included in properties that had homes, so we just, everything's covered under him.
Right.
But they would have less restrictions.
And typically when we try to satisfy the state saying, hey, you invested money into this, it got sold, we wanna figure out what to do with this money, do you want it back? It's usually like, no way. And then it's, what can we use it on that's true to the intent of the original guidelines? And so that's, I think, what we're waiting for.
Yeah, that's what I've always, the last one was from, what was the last one from? McAllister. We got money back from Kings Mill.
Yeah.
They would not let me use it on McAllister, however, they did allow me to use it, in the Habitat project. So here in the city, because those brownfields money came from years ago when the city and the county had worked on Kings Mill. So that was in the city, so they allowed me to put it back into the city. So now I'm hoping that because this money came out of the county, they'll let me put it back into the county in like registry. So we'll wait and see, but our total money that we got back was 2,766,958.15. And we paid back everything accordingly. Home, CDBG, revolving fund, 2D CBD loans, and Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Thank you, Jeff.
Very nice.
No level payback, right?
We did also receive, if you remember, the $340,000 escrow. So the HICDC money, we're letting in the property. We have set up a reimbursement fund. Michelle is tracking that, and I think you had one draw already. So that's on a reimbursement basis. So as they present invoices to Michelle, she'll review, approve, and send draw down the money.
So far, they've replaced a couple HVAC units and are doing new flooring units.
So she'll work with them through that whole 340,000.
That'd be nice. Do we have any new applications?
We don't. I guess.
I was gonna ask if you wanted to do a funding overview, maybe I don't think we do that in March, maybe funding, like the home funding allocation. Well, we don't,
Yeah, we know. Yeah. Yeah, that's just the whole thing. So basically, here's what's going on out there in the affordable housing world. I have had no new applications. I don't even have any talk with anybody right now. I think the days of developers coming to us and knocking down the door and multiple applications in 1 year are probably gone right now until some things change. Our home program funding this year, it's been so many years since we have increased amounts. This year, we have decreased about $160,000. It doesn't sound like a lot, but really it is. That was a hard hit. So we got, I think, for housing rehabilitation, after we take out charter set aside, after we take out administration funds, we have maybe $500,000. But unfortunately, $500,000, and we have a little bit, maybe 168,000 left, plus that little bit we got from things. So we're not, we might be at the $800,000 or $900,000 mark for a total home right now, after we received 2024's money. So we did real good and we spent a lot of money, but now here's the issue. Tax credits are entirely so competitive. So I think they're seeing less applications going in. They're going in for 2 or 3 rounds until they're funded. Developers are discouraged. Home program rules is bringing out all this new stuff. So we have Buy American, Build American, Build American, which is going to increase the cost of development outrageously. That's for CDBG and for home, which is really sad. We now have new radon requirements, which is going to cost more money in somebody's application, and development costs, especially if mitigation systems have to be put in. Because I would think that a big project, even a new construction project, if there's going to be, a basement level in there, it's going to have to be tested when the project's complete for radon and a mitigation system put in if necessary. So all of these things are adding up. And, interest rates on first mortgages, yeah, we can talk about that. So it's very difficult. A project maybe 3 years ago that we funded, like let's use, well, we can probably use Lombard Commons, which was a $12 million project, is probably now an $18 or $19 million project. $500,000 or $800,000 of home money isn't going to be enough. Okay, that's not going to be enough. Felicia and I had a discussion yesterday, and I think right now, we're getting a lot of money. We're getting a lot of money for rehabilitation, like the whole home repairs program. And there's a price grant out right now, which is for mobile home parks. There's the pro housing grant, but that is for rehabilitation and to address municipalities, townships and boroughs on their code restrictions for affordable housing. HUD's sending down a lot of money. They're heavy on lead right now, but right now their sites are set on preservation. They're making it, I don't know if they're like cutting their own throats because they're making it so difficult for new construction. So I think right now what we're looking at is like Princess Street to preserve what we already have. I'm hoping that in the new budget, I think the new and the 25 budget, they actually did cut their money. Was that budget approved? No, it was not.
Yeah.
So they have a proposal in there to cut home funding again. And that's the biggest, home program funding that comes down to the participating jurisdiction is the biggest gap filler on like a tax credit application. So, if they're gonna continue to cut home and these counties and participating jurisdictions don't have that gap filler, then it's gonna be more difficult for somebody to develop in that area unless they can bring in additional funds. Now HUD does have something out right now that is going to go to the states. PHFA is expecting if this does go through, they're expecting a big chunk of money, which would be used for rehabilitation and development of affordable housing. It will go down. My understanding is because it's brand new. I'm not exactly sure. I have to wait for more stuff to come out. That will go down to counties. So it would be something that we can apply for a development. Counties or local jurisdictions, something that we can apply for development, but it's not available yet.
I think just to jump in there really quickly, just for historical perspective, the funding amounts that we're seeing in the home category of funding are what we saw post the economic decline in 2007, 2008, when everything plummeted. And then the other shift that we are seeing is that there's more money being released that's on a competitive basis, and there's not less money, but the funding that is allocated through formulas is declining, and there's more funding available through grant applications, competitive resources. So it's just a shift, and you're trying to like figure out what do we do to maintain what we're doing well, and then how do we pivot to those competitive grants to do some of the other things that we don't have the resources to do through formula funding. So it's just a changing landscape from what we're used to, and Dory and her staff are doing a great job on staying on top of all of that, but it's different. So trying to figure out how to meet the community's needs in this new financial landscape is really the challenge.
Do you have any stats on, what the demand is for this type of housing?
I don't have any like actual data. I mean, there's a demand. I mean, it's definitely, we don't have enough housing for what we need. I mean, that's nothing new in York County. And then, rental rates are extremely high. And unfortunately, in years to come, some of these properties that have sold now under us is when they're within the next 10 years, we can expect that a lot of those properties, which we have, what, 5, are probably going to be market rate properties, because what's happening is, these market rate developers are coming in there and they're buying these properties that have maybe 10 or less years left on their affordability. And they're purchasing them, and then once the affordability period expires, they're going to start, renting to market rate.
Because that's where the market.
That's where the market is right now. And, it's, it's unfortunate. And then there's not a lot of money to redevelop what we're gonna lose. So, I mean, I think it's something that's definitely on our radar, and it's definitely, my goal is to try to see what all money's coming down and where else we can get some. So if PHFA opens up for money for, counties and local, municipalities, then I'm gonna see, how do we move forward? How can we get some of that? Because we're gonna bring in whatever we can.
I think that the dynamic is kind of interesting because there's a lot of money that's been released, like Dory said, to preserve the existing housing stock, maintain, rehab. There's a lot of funding for homeless services, but everything we hear is that we need more affordable housing. And the money to develop more affordable housing and the barriers to develop more affordable housing the money's declining, the barriers are still there, and there's a lot of funding going into preservation of the existing housing stock and homeless services. So it's, it's just an odd time. Usually it's a lot more clear cut on where the funding is coming from, and you kind of know the landscape and can be more strategic. Right now it's shifting so quickly. We're trying to figure out where can we be most effective to meet the needs
And that
it's challenge.
That's absolutely exactly how Melissa explained it. It's just like, it's every day, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, where are we going from here? Because it's mostly preservation. And I talked to Felicia about this yesterday. I said, it's like a train. Wherever HUD's driving that train, you better just jump on. So now it's preservation, you better just jump on preservation. Or, a couple years ago, it was new construction and affordable housing. When you jump on that train, and we did great, because we have 4 or 5 new properties, and we did really good. But now, things are changing. So now we got to change with it so that we can continue to absolutely preserve what we have. And hopefully maybe, I had a conversation with Regina yesterday, the Housing Authority. And, she's trying to put together something where she doesn't have to go for tax credits, or she's going to go for a 4% deal. And I said, to build cottages at one of the existing properties already. And I'm like, okay, get me in on that, because maybe a project like that on a smaller scale that she's gonna go on a 4% deal for, I can fill a gap in, like, we could have a good project. So, that's the only thing though, that's the only thing right now that I had a conversation about. It's nothing else has come up.
So you have a lot to say about the overview.
So
of
we
funding.
will keep plugging away, right, every day we'll plug away.
So the rehab, we can only rehab properties that we already have money in.
No, we could actually.
So
rehab.
anybody out there who has,
Because Princess Street Apartments, we don't have any money in.
Well, we do now,
Was,
but-
yeah, we did it. When we started Princess Street Apartment, it had expired. Their affordability had expired. So we didn't have any, everything was satisfied. So now they have tax credits. Now they have home money.
but it has to be a rental.
No, we could do home ownership. So like, say if we worked with one of our local chotos and they purchased a duplex in Redline Borough, we could assist in the purchase and the rehabilitation of that duplex. So it could either be rental or they could turn around and resell them. Like we did in Baltimore, Mortimer Street.
Yeah.
We did that rehabilitation for home ownership opportunity.
What if it was like a personal care?
No.
Right.
No.
Because you're gonna lose
We-
those things too, because they haven't.
Yeah, good try. Yeah, no, that would be great. We'd be able to spend tons of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very good.
Another niche that needs to be.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. So, anybody have any questions?
How do you get this to people to let them know because no longer builders, we're not looking for contractors, builders to come to us, we're looking for people who want to rehab.
Well, I think mostly our local charitos. I think, somebody that owns a duplex, like a private landlord, the regulations that would be involved are too much for them. So I think that, and whole home repair, the whole home repair funds that are for rehabilitation, they have a landlord component in it right now. The component is not favorable to landlords. Again, I had the opportunity to talk to Madeline from Senator Fetterman's office, and, they have already, they're putting it in the state budget. It was in the 2024 budget to continue to fund the whole home repair program from state funds. And, they took a good look. They did a lot of surveys. We were included in a lot of different surveys, answering some questions of what's working with home repair, what's not working with home repair. And, I do know that they have changed a lot of regulations to make it more favorable for landlords, small landlords. So small landlords is somebody that doesn't have any more than 5 units with 15 apartments, in them. And they're making it way more favorable. So that's where the landlord, or the small landlord that needs just 3 units rehabilitated or new roofs, that's where we're gonna pick them up. So to do like a bigger scale project with home program funds, we would probably need to do that with our chodos.
But it has to be affordable help.
Oh, yeah, and the landlord, the whole home repair would be affordable housing. Yeah, there are restrictions on income qualifications for the tenants. There are affordabilities. An example of affordability, they went from a 10-year affordability to like a 3-year affordability. Because the landlord, a small landlord, and I've had 4 or 5 meetings with small landlords. As soon as I tell them that their property is going to be locked down for 10 years, they can't refinance it or anything, they walk away. They're like, that's not going to work for me, because they want to keep refinancing and buying more, pulling money out of this to buy this. So, that's everything that was actually, presented to DCED during their surveys. And, and it's coming from everybody, because it's very hard to do a landlord project with all the restrictions that the current whole home repair money has on it. So, they're looking at that, and, I think they've heard. So maybe it'll be more favorable and we'll be able to do some more stuff with whole home repair.
And I guess the other thing that just piggyback onto that, the whole home repair didn't get funded in the 24-25 state budget. But we're assuming that's because the federal program is still in play because it's ARPA money.
Mhm.
And it's our understanding that Pennsylvania will pick that up again in the 25-26 budget. But in the meantime, there's counties that didn't get as much as your county, and they don't have the breadth of programs that we have. And so their loss of open repair funding in the 24-25 state budget, not having it in there, is devastating. And for us, I mean, we've got, we have weatherization, we have lead mitigation, we have housing rehabilitation. So a lot of the things that we're able to do is fill those gaps with other programs that whole home repair was, I mean, whole home repair was really the add-on for us. For other counties, whole home repair was it. And so they're really, they've come to a shrinking halt because they can't do anymore because they don't have the other programs that we administer. So we're really kind of, even though this sounds gloom and doom, we're really in a better place than most of the other areas in Pennsylvania.
And the staff is doing great. The housing division staff, even with whole home repair,
Yeah.
we had a total of $2.3 million to spend through the end of 2026. We are at $1.5 million already. That is allocated out.
Nice.
Plus we're running our other programs. So if we can't help somebody in whole home repair, we still have our home improvement program, both grant and loan programs. We're running the city's program. So we're
in much better shape than a whole host of other areas.
absolutely. We have lead capacity grant. We were awarded that for lead capacity building. So we're getting ready to, over the next 3 years, create a whole staff devoted just to lead. We have 1 or 2 actually right now that are doing our administering our lead grant that we have from the state. But 3 years from now, we're hoping to get the big $5 million lead grant from HUD, or 3 million, whatever. But we'll have a whole staff of 5 or 6 people. So, yeah, they're putting out, we're doing a lot of preservation. We're doing a lot of preservation in housing right now, in the housing division. So hopefully we can get it lined up that maybe we can do a couple of new projects with some of this other funding that's coming out. And hopefully, I don't know, I'm afraid that home might get cut again next year. Well, not sure though.
Is there,
So it's cut by 160?
It was cut by 160 million. Oh, 160,000. It was
York
16,
County.
I forget what it was, 16 million or something like that. Or, from HUD, but it's 160,000 for the county.
How much did we normally receive?
We were up in the $900,000 range. Yeah. And part of that, prior to meeting here, there were even higher numbers. So-
Exceed, and it got up to 2 million, maybe 1.1 million one year. But,
And then I think we went down.
plummeted because of the
Yeah.
economic downturn, and we were down to about 500,000, a smidge over 500,000. And then it started to climb up out of the hole,
Mhm.
and
And it just went down again. So I was pretty disappointed, but hopefully it'll come back up again. Hopefully maybe, I don't know, soon as they get off with preservation. maybe. It'll happen, because they always change routes. HUD changes routes. I mean, it was lead for a long time. It's, now it's preservation, and then it'll be maybe new construction soon.
Do we know what causes them to change directions?
I don't even know what called send Congress. Yeah, exactly. I can't even say it. It must be that, because it's just always something. And when they highlight something, they highlight it there. So then you're gonna see a lot, like right now it's on rehabilitation. So we know that because now the price grant's coming out, and the price grant is for rehabilitation of mobile home parks. So not only the mobile homes, but also the infrastructure in a mobile home park. So it's rehabilitation right now. And that whole home repair is rehabilitation. And so you're seeing that right now. A year from now, we might say something different. It might be something different that they're throwing money out for.
you can say presidential priorities or agendas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
is there any update or change or still an opportunity for the Pleasant Acres? I don't remember there was
I'm glad you asked that question.
change.
I asked that question. I reached out, again, I had a meeting with Regina, and that was on my list to talk about, Regina from the Housing Authority. So I found out yesterday that I asked about that project. I told her that I really like it and would they reconsider. She said they would have reconsidered because she really likes it too. It's a great opportunity. But HUD, she had not HUD, the Housing Finance Agency, because they were not successful on 2 or 3 rounds of tax credits. So she said, she had a meeting at PHFA, and she said the reason that project is not successful and probably will not ever be successful is because there's too much common hallway space. So you know how when you walk in the front of that Pleasant Acres building, hallways go out everywhere, okay? When you calculate the amount of square footage for units and square footage for common areas, it's 45% common areas, 44% common areas, and PHFA will fund that.
So it's more like a facility.
It's more like a facility.
That's what it was.
So I said to her, I said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's get it and let's gut the whole inside and redo it. And she told me that that would not work for some reason. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me, something about historic, but the interior of the building is not historic except for when you walk in. So evidently when you walk right in. So her idea was,
What's historic about that building?
I don't know, well, there's marble and stuff and the facade.
Marble doesn't make something historic, it means you
I
just
know.
hold
She said
rock.
it's beautiful, and that's what I said. I said, well, I don't know why we couldn't just gut the whole thing. Why couldn't you gut it and redo it?
Yeah.
Because it's a staple there.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
so you keep it.
It's a nice building.
And I said, I don't know why, because then you can eliminate all that common space.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she said no, and then she said her idea was to demo the back part, keep the facade
Oh, and then demo the.
and demo the back. And I thought that would be too much, but I don't know. So it's not off her plate yet, but I thought demoing the back and keeping the facade would probably be a little bit bigger of a project than what they would really want to do. I would think going in there and gutting the entire building would be a little bit easier. And then, redrawing it for units and less common space. So I put that in her ear yesterday. Now I'm just gonna wait to hear back from her.
I planted to see.
Yeah, I planted to see. I'm like, so let's gut it.
Is there still a leasing issue or is there a full owner?
No, the owner wants to do something with the building, who actually owns that now, and we gave them a 99-year lease if they want to develop it. So that's okay with PHFA, that passes with PHFA when they wouldn't lose points for that. The only weakness in that application is it's too much common space. There's too many. They want to see more units and less common space. And that's why it was not funded several times that they put it in. So it's not off their plate. They are still discussing it. I did tell her yesterday, I like that project and hopefully maybe they'll pursue it. I'd like to pursue it with gutting the entire interior.
I guess I'm trying to think though, even if you've got the interior,
Yeah, I don't
the
know.
exterior walls for those wings. I don't know if they give enough space to have a reasonable unit.
Yeah.
I don't.
And she had to draw that out.
Yeah.
And she should. I mean, I think she should look at all of her options because they have that building and the owner does want to utilize it. And he was on board. He even paid some of the expenses for their tax credit submittals. Especially the second time around. So they carried a lot of that expense. So we'll see. Hopefully, we'll see what happens there. Anything else?
I don't think so. So other business. We want to introduce new committee members.
Well, we already met Margie. She's already been here. Unfortunately, Silas was not able to attend today. He is traveling for work. So we don't have anybody else to introduce today.
Where's Silas from?
Your County Economic Alliance.
That's just a good question.
Sure.
Forgive me, I'm just.
Yeah.
What about a hotel? That it's livable, that doesn't count as,
Not for him.
definitely trying to find. Good at.
Yeah, not for him, unfortunately.
And try. All right, no other business? Anything else for discussion?
I do have just one other question. Do we track affordability and where, I'd go back to the Hanover properties that were sold. And our discussions, we're thinking they're gonna probably become market rate after affordability. So that's gonna be a big void in the Hanover area. Do we track that geographically to maybe target certain areas that maybe in 5 years, 8 years are gonna be losing potentially big chunks of affordable housing?
We haven't, but that's something that we should absolutely start doing. Yeah, we thought about that and of course, we're thinking about Hanover because we did lose some already in Hanover and we've been trying to get somebody in Hanover to just replace what we already lost because we lost the McAllister, we lost Taylor Lady and Warehouse Apartments. So we actually all the time think about that area. We haven't lost a lot in other areas yet, but now we're going to start because RP Management bought the properties in Red Lion. And so eventually we're going to lose two established properties in Red Lion and West Shore. So yes, it's something we should absolutely start doing.
And I guess the other thing with the old person here, so when you think back of all of the different, when the home program started and all the different places we've invested over the years, we have that inventory. And we have it not only on chart form, but we also have it, on the GIS layer. We could easily do that. We could track what we've invested in, and then we also have, I don't know if it's current, but other affordable housing options across the county. So we could get that whole picture because we have all of the data and we have the mapping capability. And we can start to keep that tracking mechanism by geographic area or planning region or something like that.
We do have, IT did track for us, for IS. They had tracked all the affordable housing in North County. So we have little houses and they tracked where we have investment in. So it would be another layer. It would be easy enough to put affordability periods on those, or
Yeah.
the ones that were sold and will be going, eventually going, market rate.
Yeah, so we'd be
It's
able to
just-
see that change
it's-
dynamic.
I'd love to see that one by one.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
once a year, whatever.
Yeah.
We have that. We have it, it's on our website. You can see the housing map now. Yeah, it's on our website. You can see the housing map now. So where we have all affordable housing.
And it shows where we have money.
And then we have one that shows where we have money in.
And what about, the shoe in here?
There.
Do we have buy that up?
That's the ones that just got sold.
Those-
Anniversary,
those are the ones that
anniversary
got
got
sold.
sold, yeah. So we're still tracking them for affordability. But the people who bought them are not affordable housing developers or managers. They are market
It was
rate.
just right up there at the top one. So
Right. affordable.
Jordan Elias, wasn't he gonna do something with the cinema in Hanover?
He, I don't know if he has the cinnamon Hanover, but what he just purchased was the hardware store that we had been looking at with
Oh,
Monarch, or not
yeah.
Monarch, Harvey Diamond.
Woda.
Woda. We were looking at that hardware store with Harvey, and Jordan just purchased that.
4143 McDonald's.
I think, I
Yeah,
think he,
Well,
the old
Yeah.
hardware store, I think he purchased that. I don't know anything about the cinema.
no, he's not,
Yeah.
at least not
So
right now.
somebody, there
There
was
is
some,
some,
yeah,
yeah, there was.
but I don't think it was for housing, was it?
No,
No, I don't think it was for housing.
Yeah.
We just bought the building next to it, well, 6 months ago. It was True North,
Oh,
Yeah.
the alley separates the two. We're moving the admin function, of
Okay.
the borough there, and
Okay.
then turning the current existing building into our, public safety.
works.
Yeah, we looked at that, we wanted to do some development when we lost the McAllister in that hardware store. But unfortunately, the owner of that, he just wanted too much money for an affordable housing to make it actually perform in affordable housing. So Jordan got it, and Jordan's a great developer,
Yeah,
but he's gonna put market rate.
Yeah,
He's
that's
gonna put high-end market rate in there, like he did in McAllister.
I know the PNC Bank and its office building next to it are back on the market. Buck Stuckey's organization, I don't know if y'all do anything with him. He just did Tree of Life in Hanover. He's done a couple of boarding houses. He had some investors and they were gonna develop it. And he's got it back on the market. It's got a massive parking lot. We used to rent the parking lot. But that's an option.
Okay.
I'd love if they subdivide the parking lot off.
So would everybody that goes down here.
Hanover is like the.
We all park there, I told
Meters.
I can't for affordable housing.
Buys you forever on meter and
Right? Now, if you click on one of those, Wade, it should tell you about
Click
it.
on this one, so over here,
Yeah.
Parkview, Manchester Heights, it has the type of population, affordability. Some other information.
And that's how you see, like, where it says affordability year, 2029, that means that it's out of its affordability in 2029. So one of two things will happen. The current owner will either refinance that, come back in for home dollars and rehabilitate, or they could potentially sell it to a market rate developer who will take it, rehabilitate it, and,
Put it on,
put it out.
right run.
Mhm.
It'd be nice if we could flag those for ones that we think will go market rate. So we can.
Or we can do them by year of
Year
affordability,
of
when they're gonna
affordability.
age out of their affordability period.
And so there is your Hanover projects and, 2032. Is that what it says, 2032?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so there's, there's three right there. There's other ones that we don't have money in on too, so the projects that we don't have money in are on there too.
Those are the ones that just got sold.
Yeah, there's,
So
yeah.
they need to change. I need to get it.
These the tail lamps?
No,
Yeah, that's Hanover Shoe, Hanover Senior.
Okay, hold on.
That's 2037 for that one.
One second, Michelle.
Hanover Senior.
Senior. Michelle goes to these, so she knows. Poor Michelle.
She dreams about them.
Yeah, she's been tracking these properties for years. Remember
Mark,
they're all
if
that.
you want this, you can go to planning commission website down at the bottom, mapping and data. And then there's a couple different categories. This one's under the general application, and then there was the first one on the top left.
Cool, thanks.
That one, Michelle, correct me, because I have all the affordable housing communities that are on our list, or is it just ours in that one?
It looks like more than what we have.
Yeah,
There's
So
a-
I'm thinking
all of them,
all of them.
yeah. So I think it's everyone, and we have a list.
So like there, I saw one in Weigelstown. We don't have anything in Weigelstown unless that's
Well, that's
Sparrow
Sparrow's
Way.
Way.
Okay, yeah.
So that's all right.
It's Village Forge, that's good.
We have a lot in the city.
No, the city has homes.
Yeah,
We don't, but-
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
so
we don't have
that's
anything
all-
with that one there. That's
Yeah, so
probably
that,
the
that was
timer.
all the affordable housing in York County.
Yeah.
And to match that, we actually have a list.
Yeah.
Of elderly and senior that we've included on here, that gives you information about all the affordable housing. in
That's
York
what
County.
I'm, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just ours. Joanne puts out a report every
Yeah.
year. And that's where you'll find just ours and all about what's in there, like the money that we have, that we put in it and what phase it's in. So like on this year's report that was just completed, I have Lombard Commons on there, but it's color coded and it's under construction. So it gives you that data. That's in the community report, correct, Joanne? Community improvements report. And somebody just gave me that to hand out, but I think, did we hand them out?
I don't get them.
Nicole just,
They're available on the website.
yeah, the community, yeah, if you look. I thought somebody gave me copies of that, but I don't have them in my office, so I'm gonna do it.
It's over under multi-departments.
Yeah, community, yeah. And then if you go to the housing under the community, reports, that's gonna show you,
Hanover is the, Fort Park is in those pictures.
yeah.
You've given us a booklet from time to time.
Yeah,
Showed all
that's what it
these.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's that booklet and.
There's Lombard Commons.
And then there's a map in that booklet that's color coded. It's a pretty nice map.
Mhm. Look like a girl.
That is great English. I love it.
Cool.
There we go. There's housing. Keep going down. That's our Princess Street property right now. And we highlighted that, and then it's a couple pages towards the back, I think that gives us the map. There you go. And see how it's color coded, like done, completed, I forget what else, say, completed, under construction. This is,
Affordability.
Last year's information.
yeah, net affordability. There's a couple of them on there that they've met affordability.
Good.
Yeah. So that's a nice map too. And then further down, if you read that report a little bit more, it tells you how much money the county has invested in each category in that particular project.
So this is 16 units and it's affordable housing, but we don't have a date on anything.
That's.
That's not-
That is not ours.
That's not ours.
That's not
So it
ours.
wouldn't have an affordability period.
Well,
That one is probably the housing authorities.
Yeah.
and so there's no affordability period on it. It's probably public housing or housing
And
authority.
that's in New York City, isn't it?
Mhm.
So that's just, Mark, when you look at that map, that covers all affordable housing in York County. And then in some cases, I wouldn't have the affordability if I
Sure.
couldn't find it, like on PHFA, if we couldn't find it, PHFA or wherever. Then I wouldn't have that. Mhm. So,
They have common, doesn't education have common service areas though?
Yes,
Yeah, so
Yes.
they're.
kitchen, yeah.
They can live on units and they can achieve it.
In a place like that, that could be a rehab.
No, I can't rehab that one, and not that one.
Just do that.
Because CBDG, yeah, CBDG could do that.
Because it's in the city.
Well, because it's in the city, yeah, and it could be potentially be a home rehabilitation if it would meet the regulation from for home. So
They're SROs.
they're SROs, so you would have to meet the home regulations.
And we can fund it with county block grant because it's the only SRO that serves male and female. So it's a single, facility that serves the whole county, so even though it's located in the city.
Pardon my ignorance, SRO to me is spanning remote, single.
Quarter of that.
That's on your language.
Single remodeling to me is eligible, for construction work, for new construction or rehabilitation through home. If it's new construction, like we did in New Dawn, up in Hanover,
Mhm.
and Hanover Borough, or in Hanover Borough, which is, in Hanover Borough, correct me on that. There's certain restrictions, so, shared bathrooms, it has to have its own cooking or bathroom facility. Okay, there's some regulations, there's some different regulations. They can have shared bathrooms, no shared bathrooms. If it's an existing community that has shared bathrooms, it's grandfathered in. So you could potentially rehabilitate that. If it's a new construction, there are new regulations on what is required. So, the use of Affordable Housing Trust Fund and home money was in New Dawn, correct? Yeah, Affordable Housing Trust Fund and home money. The other thing that home doesn't allow is if it's an SRO, it can't be like a referral basis. So True North did the SRO in Hanover Borough. But really following home program rules, they need to be able to take applications from anybody. And mostly they were using the project as a referral from just their facilities. So there's some new changes in home that make it a little bit harder for an SRO. Dutch kitchens would work as if it was run like Dutch Kitchens is now, that would work as a new construction SRO, something like that. Except for the fact that bathrooms or cooking facilities in each room.
Oh,
One
in each room, they have to have a cooking facility?
cooking facility or bathroom in each room. They don't have to have both.
Oh, just one or the other.
Just one or the other. One or the other. So. And New Dawn does have that, unfortunately, the thing in New Dawn is they have shared bathrooms, they have shared bathrooms. And that isn't how, that wouldn't be as acceptable now. So every room would have, if they chose bathrooms, every room would have to have its own bathroom or small kitchenette, one or the other. So it could be done.
Okay, any other discussion? Do I have a motion to adjourn? I have a second? Second? Everybody agree? Yeah. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Jerry, you didn't say a word.
Sitting quiet.